There's a group of people that say that dragons were real.
Draggy wings. Michael is a fleeing dragon, and he always has wings. If he doesn't have wings, he's St. George.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, hello, my name is Kim. I go by Kimberkiss Cosmic Queen here on YouTube. We're going to jump into a reading today. I hope everyone's doing really good. These are current downloads that I received recently with my daughter. She helped me with some of this. It's really interesting stuff. But my spirit guides, when they are relentless and they keep showing me things and they want me to talk about things, I have to do it. This might be a short reading and I might add more onto it later. But this is just the main stuff that I'm getting. So they have me draw this, and they keep referring to the dragons, okay? And they wanted me to draw a compass with the dragons. And so with this compass, there's a dragon of the north, a dragon of the south, a dragon of the east, and a dragon of the west. And then they also branched off to the northeast, the southeast, the northwest, the southwest. So there's dragons, specific kinds I'm hearing, that guard each sector of our 3D plane. And our 3D plane and our 5D plane are very much so merging. And they're about to just into the higher realms, the higher dimensions. And so it's a lot coming through right now, but they had me draw this. And then they had me connect it with a spiral. And then I was like, well, they call it the compass rose, and the spiral looks like a rose. I'm going to make it into a rose. So that's what I did. And it's going clockwise. It's going clockwise. That could be significant too. Okay. And I might just like insert a picture of this on the screen, so it's kind of hard to see with the lighting and stuff. It's very weird outside today. But I'm getting, this is the compass rose of Avalon. So lots of messages all of a sudden about Avalon, and dragons have been nonstop, but this is what they showed me in my mind's eye, and they kept wanting me to draw it, so I finally gave in and did it. Okay. And then, so the main ones they want to say though are the dragons of the north, the south, the east, and the west. There's a main dragon of the north, a main dragon of the east, a main dragon of the south, a main dragon of the west. Okay. And then with Avalon, me and my daughter wrote down some things that we received and channeled. So she got a lake of mermaids, a forest of fairies, a cave of dragons.
So is Avalon, does it have like a forest of fairies, a lake of mermaids, and a cave of dragons?
Yes.
Like a fairy tale?
Yes. There's a what?
What if there's a rose in a dragon cave deep down there where nobody has found it before, and it's in like a glass cage, and it's a rainbow flower, a rainbow rose?
Did you say it was precious?
Yeah.
Okay, so a precious rose in a glass case.
Yeah. Like in Beauty and the Beast, you know that rose?
Yeah.
Like in that type of case.
So that's real?
Yeah.
Do you know what it does?
It has a healing power, and then there's also a rainbow crystal that has defeat power.
And a rainbow crystal?
Yeah, that has defeat power in case anybody attacked. What about they have purple cherries on trees?
What do those do?
You eat and you have superpowers.
Do you know anything like about a magical map of Avalon?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it?
Draw a map of like any other, like draw a map of some of a country.
Okay.
Like even like an Avalon.
Thanks.
So this would be Avalon right here.
Okay.
I'll put A for Avalon.
Okay.
Then this would be the Dragon Land. So D for Dragon.
Okay.
This would be the Crystal Lands so C for Crystal.
Okay.
M for Mermaid. And then F for Fairies. And then, what was the last one? Oh, the R for the Rose.
Okay. And do you know what they called them? Like, was there like different names?
Called it Avalon, which where all the stuff was.
Okay.
Dragonland, Crystal Land, Fairyland, Mermaid Land, and Rose Land.
Okay. Thanks, Kenzie.
Rainbows, trees full of rainbow apples, baby fairies, mermaids, and dragons as well. Dragon eggs, very prominent here in Avalon.
These eggs are even more fragile, but should all come to ruin here, you will bear a hope for the future.
Dragon's eggs near us, and the Shadowlands beyond the Shire. The ages have turned them to stone.
Have you ever seen a dragon? Dragon gone Khaleesi. Brave men kill them.
A pretty blue lake with sparkles in it, she said, and unicorns. That hasn't come up for a while. And she said when it rains, it's very pretty rainbow drops on the trees and on the leaves that sparkle. She said there's fairy houses. I asked if there was dolphins and whales. She said not so much whales, but yes, dolphins. She said dolphins and rainbow fish, roses and sunflowers. And she drew me one. She drew me a sunflower of love here. And she channeled some pretty cool things too that I'll insert throughout this. One of them was there's this precious rose in a dragon cave, and it's in a glass case and it's rainbow and it has healing powers, she said. And then she said there's a rainbow crystal that has a defeating power in case anyone attacks. Okay, so that's really interesting. And I think that they're together because this is what she had channeled. And then she said there's purple cherries on trees. You eat them and you have superpowers. So I thought that was really cool. It's really interesting. Like my dad used to have, like I learned about blue apples having to do with Mary Magdalene and Yeshua's children. That's like kind of like a hidden knowing that's within, I guess, that thing. But my dad has a little dog that's blue, and he, from his childhood stuffed animal, he named it Blue Cherry. And here we have purple cherries, so and blue apples. And there's apples in Avalon, okay? So I just find it very, very interesting. The apple trees are very significant too, and apparently purple cherries. I'm wondering if there's blue apples too. So it's just interesting. And then they had me draw this map, and she said that I was missing one, so she drew it at the bottom here. It was the main one that was Avalon. And then she said there's a Crystal Island land, there's a Dragon Land, there's a Mermaid Land, a Fairy Land, and a Rose Land. So I thought that was interesting, so just including it within this. Lots of messages about dragons and lions and snakes and how they connect. And I'll insert that perhaps here.
There's a system of tarot that corresponds to the 22 major arcana cards with the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The Hebrew letter matched with strength, which is associated with Leo, is Teth, or Tet, which is said to represent a vessel, and also means serpent. The more I study this serpentine connection, the more I'm fascinated by it. Further investigation will show you that the lion has been symbolically linked with serpents and dragons for ages. Although lions of the Far East are merely emblematic animals, they have affinities with the dragon and come to be identified with it. In China and Japan, the lion, like the dragon, was thought to ward off demons, which is why it was frequently depicted as a temple guardian. Regarding his version of the Strength card, Aleister Crowley writes, "In this card, therefore, appears the legend of the woman and the lion, or rather, lion-serpent. According to tarot correspondences, the only animals associated with strength are the lion and the serpent." Snake symbology is endlessly deep. They are perhaps the most feared and venerated creature in the animal kingdom, and are believed to be the original king of beasts. The snake has been associated with countless symbolic concepts and ideas over the ages. Among its various meanings, it has a history of being associated with several constellations and planets, including the Sun, which rules Leo. J.C. Cooper writes, "The serpent and dragon are often interchangeable, and in the Far East no distinction is made between them. The serpent can depict solar rays and the course of the sun." From the movement of time itself to the movement of luminaries, the serpent has been a symbolic partner of humanity and plays an important role in countless myths from around the world. The snake's movement reminds me of frequency, vibration, and rhythm, which are interlocked with the cyclical patterns of the cosmos and creation. I would go as far as to say that the movement of the serpent is a visual metaphor for life itself. The snake's iconic behavior is mirrored in the tail of a cat, where some suggest is the true source of feline power. The letter S even looks like a snake, and is phonetically linked with it as well. Drawing out an S makes a hissing sound, which serpents and felines are well known for making. Furthermore, the Leo symbol reminds me a lot of the North and South Node glyphs of astrology. In the Vedic system, the nodes are referred to as Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the symbolic head of the dragon, or snake, and Ketu is the tail. In many depictions, they're combined with serpents. Some varieties of cobra even have patterns on the back of their hoods that look very similar to the South Node symbol as well. Other patterns look similar to the glyph for the sun. The dragon connection with the nodes is on full display in this antique astronomical instrument. A dragon is stretched out between the nodal points, and its head and tail act as pointers. In Gnostic scriptures, it's written that the god of this domain takes the form of a lion-headed serpent. He's tyrannical and blinded by his own radiance. He's often referred to as the demiurge, and is extremely significant in Gnosticism. I find it a little mind-blowing that of all animals, the lion and serpent combined depicts his likeness. Biologically, I'm intrigued with the fact that serpents and felines have fangs in common as well. And in the case of each creature, there's a variety with slit pupils. The more I study the symbolism of the lion, serpent, and dragon, the closer their connections become. And as a cat guy, I think it's fitting. As always, I'd love to know what you think.
So, Merlion, Merlin, it all coincides, and there's a message also about the dragon is known as a sword, so the sword is representative, like King Arthur's sword is representative of a dragon.
So Ashai bore witness to the first Azor Ahai, forging Lightbringer and aiding in the defense against the first Long Night. There is a theory that the myth of Azor Ahai was actually just like a euphemism for the birth of dragons, that the flaming sword that he pulls from the fire was actually a dragon, just like how Drogon is referred to as a flaming sword across the sky, and that the descendants of the great empire of the Dawn went on to become the first Valyrians, and that they brought their dragons with them.
Somebody stole Durandal. Somebody was really out here playing King Arthur. And they took a sword that's been embedded in stone for 1,300 years. If you don't know about this sword, it is France's sword in the stone. It is their Excalibur. It's a sword of legend, and it's said to have belonged to Charlemagne. The sword also appears in multiple epic poems featuring Roland. Here is a depiction of Roland with Durandal. It is stated that he threw the sword with such force that it embedded itself into the stone. Hey thief, like, what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now? Did you become king? Did Merlin show up?
and then like messages about how people can be dragons.
A couple of weeks ago, I got this book on my desk. Friends will leave books for me on my desk, so that's not a surprise. But this book is pretty old, and there's no copyright page, there's no author attributed, but it's entitled How to Be a Dragon. I read some of it. You can find them on the channel here, but I think I'm going to do some research. I'm going to try and figure out who wrote this. I want to find out who holds the copyright, if there is any, because if no one holds the copyright, I'm gonna type this up with some footnotes. I'm gonna do some research here. But I want to know more. If you know anything about How to Be a Dragon, again, this is an older book. I did a little bit of initial research. There's a webtoon with the same name. I'm positive they're not related. Yeah, let me know if you know anything about this book. Had a breakthrough last night with How to Be a Dragon. I got a DM pointing me to Almana Gwynedd. Almana Gwynedd apparently lived in 1830s in London, and she was known to be kind of insane and insanely rich. She threw these lavish galas and invited anyone of note. She claimed to be from Wales and an important personage there, and then it was found out that she faked the whole thing. She was not a person of note. No one knew where she came from. But apparently, while she lived in London, there were a number of anonymous pamphlets released. And all of these pamphlets were how to be various mythical creatures. The most popular at the time was actually how to be a fairy. But how to be a dragon may have been one of those. Again, I haven't tracked that one down yet. And it's only a guess that this Almana Gwynedd might be the author. I'm going to have to look more into it, but it's something. So we got to start. The rabbit hole keeps going deeper. So I am investigating this Almana Gwynedd, who possibly wrote How to Be a Dragon. And this name keeps on popping up throughout history. So the name pops up in the 1200s as a landowner in Brittany. Now, this is highly uncommon. Women did not generally own land back then. Then the name pops up again in 1485. She's the one who financially supports the printing of Le Morte d'Arthur, which is where we get most of our Arthur legends that we know today. She pops up again, or the name pops up in 1772. Benjamin Franklin records in one of his diaries that he had a tea with a delightful and atrocious woman by the name of Almana Gwynedd. So either this is a family name and this family just keeps on having adventures, or we've got an immortal woman who ends up writing How to Be a Dragon. The rabbit hole goes deeper. So it looks like Almana Gwynedd may have been the author of How to Be a Dragon. But as you research that name, there's some stuff that pops up. I found in the Registers of Licenses to Pass Beyond the Seas, 1573 to 1677. This is in Britain. If you wanted to cross the seas, you would need to get a license so that Britain knew that you weren't on its shores anymore. And there is an Almana Gwynedd registered in 1638 to sail to New England. Now, it's very common back in those days that there would be family names, that certain people would just name their kids after a family member. So this might not be the same Almana Gwynedd. But there's a note in the captain's log on how many people disembarked and their names when they got to New England. And Almana is not on that list. If you compare a list of how many people boarded and how many people disembarked, there is one fewer. And Almana is that name that doesn't match. There's no notes on anyone dying or going overboard. She just stopped existing. So whether it's the same woman somehow or it's a family name, there's something going on here. How to Be a Dragon, Chapter 1. Wings Optional. The reader may be curious as to why a book should be written for humans entitled How to Be a Dragon. It is true that there are many varieties of dragons in the skies, just as there are many humans that walk human streets. And indeed, not every human is indeed human. Some are lycanthropic, some are vampiric, some are merely halflings with glandular issues. And some humans, I am convinced, are dragons that have so gone undercover that they've forgotten what they truly are and have set aside their scales and claws. This chapter is for them. I don't know, are you human? Or I am really enjoying this book.
If you're seeing this, then you carry the dragon spirit. Dragon people are extremely rare. Their souls are ancient, and they have lived many lifetimes during times of great change. It is said that the dragon was born of part lion, part snake, meaning you have the courage and strength of a lion, but the agility and stealthiness of the serpent. The legend of the dragon speaks for itself from theology all over the world. You may feel deeply connected to Asia and different cultures. Dragon people are the greatest warriors of all time. They are natural-born leaders and think outside the box when it comes to overcoming problems and defeating enemies. They carry great wisdom, elegance, and also can lead the life of the party. Others may be intimidated by your exterior. You are extremely giving and would sacrifice yourself for the greater good of the world.
Give birth to dragons.
At my wedding, he gave me 3 petrified dragon eggs. He believed, the world believed, that the ages had turned them to stone. How many centuries had it been since dragons roamed the skies? But I dreamt that if I carried those eggs into a great fire, they would hatch. When I stepped into the fire, my own people thought I was mad. But when the fire burned out, I was unhurt. The mother of dragons. Do you understand? I'm no ordinary woman.
Rhaegal is the green egg that is gifted to Daenerys on her wedding day to Khal Drogo. And when he is hatched, Rhaegal is described as being kind of emerald green with bronze scales. Gorgeous dragon. He is born when his mother, Daenerys Targaryen, walks into the funeral pyre and literally awakens stone dragons.
Don't you notice, like, on the cards, like, that looks like a one, like, sprinting out of the fountain, and that's, like, the dragons around it?
I can't believe you said that, because that gave me chills, because you know that fountain that we go to on our walks sometimes?
Yeah.
And how it has, like, the pine cone looking thing at the top?
Yeah.
Did you know that, like, pine cone shapes look like ancient dragon eggs? Like, that's what they looked like. So it's interesting. It almost makes me think that, like, the dragon's egg is like petrified stone, because if you look into stories of like Medusa and so forth, she turned things to stone. If you look in the books of Narnia, they turned the White Witch turned things to stone. And I think this actually happened in history, where they say like dragons are actually throughout the world within mountains and different structures of the earth that were petrified into stone, as well as the castles and things. And so with you pulling that up and seeing the back of this with a fountain and different dragons around it.
Protecting like the dragon egg.
Like protecting the dragon egg. And that's like literally the message when I got that I got that day when we went, and I remember when I went for a walk by myself, and I was sitting by the fountain, and that was my thought, is that it was a petrified dragon egg. So what do you think, like, Kenzie, because I've been meaning to ask you this too.
What is it?
Just like what comes to mind when you think of like the dragon egg and the dragons or the dragon energies protecting it? Do you feel like it's going to hatch soon, or do you think it's going to be a while yet? And do you think it can hatch?
I think it can hatch. I think the color might either be blue or red.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna hatch pretty soon. It looks like pretty big. So it's probably gonna hatch like, I would say, in a month.
Okay. And like the dragons around it, is that like actual dragons that maybe like are there that we simply can't see? or are they just like energies, or are they actual dragons that are just like veiling themselves like the Harry Potter cloak?
Think that.
Like, do you think you could see them? Like, if we walk by the fountain, like, you could see them there? Or do you think they're kind of, like, hidden for a reason?
They're hidden for a reason.
Okay. Have them as their spirit guides. There's so much here, but I'm just going to touch base here until I receive more, and then I'll include it in this reading, or I'll post this as I go as, like, a series. But this is just what I'm getting right now.
Okay, so this is probably going to... I mean, I'm sure every thing I put out there people think is like just so far out of reach, but this is really gonna take the cake. So I just came out of the grocery store and the archangels are talking to me. Who is this? Gabriel's been talking to me the whole time I've been in there, and they want me to put this out, and this feels like the silliest thing I've ever had to say, but to them it's very real. So I do what they ask because I trust them. So I'm gonna put this out. They're saying during that we're going to be down for 3 days. It's going to be like a 3-day blackout, right? Yes. Okay. During the 3-day blackout, they're going to be waking up some of the daughters of Galandria. They said they can only do maybe 8 or 9. And there's like 358 of us, including me total. So I'm like, that's all you're going to wake up is 8 or 9. I'm like, this is not coming from me. They are saying the daughters of Galandria are the most powerful, like, wizards and warlocks. They're not going to understand that word. Can I give them a different word? Of all the realms. Okay. And they're saying that they're afraid we're going to blow up the planet. I know how crazy this sounds, but they're saying they want me to put a message out, and they're going to somehow guide the daughters of Galandria who are going to be awoken to see this. That they want me to tell you, when you wake up to your true divinity, like if you're one of the ones that they're going to wake up during this, they're asking you not to blow up the planet. And I know how crazy that sounds, but they're saying like, you're going to wake up, they keep using this, with the fire of 1,000 dragons, like burning in your soul. And you're going to remember what was done to you. And you're going to remember where you are and what's going on. And you're literally going to, like, you could blow up a whole city, just one of you, like, or a whole state or something. And I know how crazy this sounds, but they're saying that we're actually this powerful. And that's why we're the future of the world, because our power will keep the world in balance. Because we're all like angels of light and goodness, and we'll never abuse our power, but we will use it to keep the world in check. And so they have to wake us up one at a time. So they said, like, we're going to be going through over the next 7 years, all these like birthing pains we're going through and all these stages of like waves into new earth. They have to slowly wake up all the daughters so that they don't blow up the planet. And I know how crazy this sounds. I've said it. I've got it out. Is there anything else you want me to add to that? They said, no, you did a good job. Thank you. Okay. Well, daughters, when you wake up and remember that you're the mother of dragons and that you're this powerful wizard warlock thing, please don't blow up anybody. They're saying just use restraint and know that they just keep saying it's not going to be the same this time. What happened, like, this story isn't going to end the way the last story ended. And they've been trying to get me to give this, they've been talking to me about this messaging for well over a week now, but they've had so much other stuff they put me through. I've just had to put this on the back burner. So I'm sorry I'm so late getting it out there, but don't blow up the planet. You're a bad bitch. You're going to help run this world in the future, but in unity and love and peace. Okay. So restrain yourself. Don't blow up anything, and I'll see you afterwards. All right. Bye.
And I will pull cards later on this. I'm not feeling called to right now by Spirit. Spirit just wanted me to get this part out.
So I want to talk about dragons for a sec, and the possibility that they may have originated in Ashai, the Shadowlands. So this is Ashai, way over in the east. It's not just a little to the east, it's way to the east. So we don't know that dragons came from Ashai for certain. It's just a theory. And there are other theories about the origins of dragons too, but because Ashai is such a mysterious place where sorcery and magic are very prevalent, I wouldn't be surprised if the dragons did come from Ashai once upon a time, and that they could eventually return to Ashai after seeing how the rest of the world treats dragons. Another thing in Ashai's favour is how old this place is. It's said to go as far back as the Great Empire of the Dawn, so Ashai bore witness to the first Azor Ahai, forging Lightbringer and aiding in the defence against the first Long Night. There is a theory that the myth of Azor Ahai was actually just like a euphemism for the birth of dragons, that the flaming sword that he pulls from the fire was actually a dragon, just like how Drogon is referred to as a flaming sword across the sky, and that the descendants of the great empire of the Dawn went on to become the first Valyrians, and that they brought their dragons with them. Now, I'm not opposed to this theory. Magic is at the heart of Ashai, and you don't get much more magical than dragons. Melisandre hails from Ashai. Mirri Maz Duur had been to Ashai, as had the mysterious Maester Marwyn, people well versed in the myths and the histories of the past, and very important characters to the overall plot. When Quaithe advises Daenerys Targaryen to leave Qarth as soon as possible, she's like, you got to go east to go west, that whole thing. Dany interprets what she's saying as, you've got to go to Ashai. And she says, what is in Ashai that I can't get in Qarth? Like, is there more men? Is there more money? And Quaithe says it's the truth that you will find in Ashai. Now, this could be a red herring, I don't know. Or this could be real breadcrumbs. I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm not against this theory at all. I also wouldn't be mad if the dragons that survived the second Long Night, but afterwards, that they go to somewhere like Ashai, and that is where they choose to lay their eggs and create a new generation of dragons. Now, it's just a theory, but I'm kind of here for this.
There's a group of people that say that dragons were real, and I'll explain. So around the same time period in, China, South America, Africa, all these different, Rome, all these places, images depicted people fighting dragons, right? And every dragon was slightly different, but it was all a giant scaly animal that could fly. The group that says this, basically they're saying the evidence is the reason there's no fossils of dragons because they had bird bones, they break down very easily and they don't fossilize. If there were lizards big enough to fly around and eat people, they didn't have bones that could fossilize.
First time ever, scientists are unveiling a 240-million-year-old dragon in its entirety. The National Museums Scotland announced on Friday. The 5-meter-long reptile from the Triassic period was first identified in China in 2003, but newly discovered fossils allowed the international team to depict the entire creature.
But we won't change. Isn't it sweet how we know that already?
My name
Is Daenerys...
Stormborn of the House Targaryen.
You know me, my lord?
They call you the Mother of Dragons.
And what should I call you?
I am simply a trader of spices. Might we see the dragons?
My friend. We have traveled very far. We have no food, no water. Once I see my people fed, I would be honored.
Forgive me, Mother of Dragons, but no man alive has seen a living dragon. Some of my more skeptical friends refuse to believe your children even exist. All we ask is the chance to see for ourselves.
I am not a liar.
Oh, I don't think you are. But as I've never met you before, my opinion on the matter is of limited value.
Where I come from, guests are treated with respect, not insulted at the gates.
Then perhaps you should return to where you come from. We wish you well.
Khaleesi, please be careful.
13! When my dragons are grown, we will take back what was stolen from me and destroy those who have wronged me. We will lay waste to armies and burn cities to the ground. Turn us away, and we will burn you first.
Retreating in fear from a little girl is unbecoming of the greatest city that ever was or will be.
The discussion is over, Zaro, Zoan, Doxos. The 13 have spoken.
The Mother of Dragons. Do you expect her to watch her people starve without breathing fire?
Our decision is final.
Very well. I invoke Sumai. I will vouch for her, her people, and her dragons, in accordance with the law.
Be it on your head.
Welcome to Karth, my lady.
Winter to spring, spring back to fall. Isn't it cool how nothing here changes at all? You make me feel I'm invincible, just like I wanted. No more candle in the wind. It's not like I'm invisible, not like before when I was burning at both ends. We did it for fun, we did it for free. I did it for you, you did it for me. We did it for the right reasons.
I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.